Ever since that 24-hour contest back in 2019, the one where we could only build by hand and somehow I got 3rd place, I have been begging for another contest like this because building by hand is relaxing and doing it for a contest is just a lot of fun because I feel like everyone has the same disadvantages at that point. So I was really excited when Builders Refuge announced it was doing another hand building contest. Thanks, Mike, because I've been waiting for it forever. Unlike last time, in this contest we do have a slightly larger plot and more time. So instead of only 24 hours, we have an almost 4-day period to build in. Ever since the theme was announced weeks prior to the contest, I quickly came up with some ideas for what my plot would be. Having that extra time to prep really did help me in this contest. Oh, and I also got a teammate. That is another thing that was different this time around, was it was a solos or duos contest. Surprisingly, I didn't feel like there were that many people participating, but I think it is just because the majority of the plots were duos and not solos, so it felt like fewer builds were going up, but there were still a lot of people in the contest world. Wolfbiom and I collaborated a bit before the contest to try to figure out exactly what we were going to build. Because we're in different time zones, we couldn't always be online together, so this did help us pick up from wherever the other person left off, since we both had clear direction of what we were doing. But we only had to worry about that for the first couple days of the contest. The theme for this contest was fortress, something simple yet broad. A fortress is literally defined as a fortified place, so anything could be a fortress as long as it's fortified, or maybe once was fortified, which is the case of our plot. I had it in my mind early on that I wanted to do something that was built inside a cliff face. Kind of similar to Petra, that was kind of in my head, but I didn't research that location specifically for this. However, I did like the idea of using a Greek-style facade with pillars, but still I wanted to make sure that the design itself was original. I really wanted to try a build in a canyon so that I could experiment with colors, because typically when you think about a canyon or a desert, you're thinking in a very monochromatic palette of orange and brown. But I wanted to capture some of the unusual colors and vibrancy that clay can have by making the entire build be built out of clay that is reddish and purple in the shadows and yellowish in the highlights. The idea was, this used to be a grand fortress in the middle of this desert or wherever this is in this canyon, and it's situated in such a way within the cliff where it can only be approached through a narrow opening, making it far easier to defend. 80% of our plot would have to be handmade terrain because it is a giant cliff, and then we wanted to incorporate statues also carved into the stone around the structure. To make the plot a little more dynamic, we did have it raised up a bit and left enough room underneath where we could put an extra layer of interiors under there, or some kind of cavern that they also utilized in this fortress. Basically, the entire fortress is supposed to look like it was carved into the rock. Even the few interiors that do exist, we tried our best to make it look like it was a part of the mountain, or at least built out of the same rock. The other thing I wanted to focus on with our plot was to make sure there was something to look at no matter which angle you were viewing the plot from. That means on the sides and in the back, I wanted to have some open ends where you could see inside the structure somewhere. Now, in concept, this sounded a lot better in my head than it ended up looking on the plot, but I'm still glad we did it because it does at least give something to look at in the back instead of just staring at a blank wall. The only thing I didn't quite like about it was there was a lot more blank wall than I would have liked in the back, but given the scale that we were going with, it was kind of hard to avoid that. The key thing you need to know about building anything by hand, especially terrain, is just to make sure you're wireframing everything, which isn't a new technique. It's been the same technique that's been used for all time of building, but if you are new to creative mode, perhaps you haven't really thought about it. It helps to map out the scale of each individual piece of your build, especially when doing things by hand like this, to reduce having to do over parts of your build. Basically, the more you plan, the more you progress. Because this is a contest, I was also very concerned we weren't going to have enough time to finish, so we prioritized the order of what we were building in order of importance. Terrain first, structure second, outer statues next, and finally interior. That's generally the order we were trying to complete things. And so we continue to build, building for many hours straight, with some breaks in between. And you know, doing important things like hosting a book club on our plot. I was afraid we weren't going to have time to finish, but in reality, we had plenty of time due to all our excellent planning, so we grinded for a few days, but still had at least 20 hours or so left where we didn't have to do much of anything, though I was looking for things to add all the way up until the end of the contest. I was also just learning how to use the armor stand plugin for the first time with this plot. Mainly, I wanted to add my and wolfbiom skins on the plot. So I put us in the front as explorers. We are discovering this abandoned fortress for the first time, but it's also nice to have us there for scale, so you can get a sense of how big this place really is. We did get a lot of compliments on the Dragon Arrow plot, and just want to say wolfbiom did an amazing job building that. And I contributed the knight statues throughout. There are 2 in the front and 1 on the side. Aside from that, we had a full interior that also had some hidden objects. We created a scavenger hunt to make exploring the inside a little bit more fun. You'll have to just log into the contest world if you would like to explore that yourself. Most of them are easy to find. There are 1 or 2 though that are a bit more challenging. And that's basically it for our plot. I was really surprised with how well these colors work together. I mean, they are complementary colors, yes, but I was still a little surprised at how well the idea worked out. Here's another look at our finished plot, and oh, looks like someone else is checking it out. But I think it turned out really well from the front. It looks amazing. Not the greatest on the sides. It could have used more probably, but I mean, this is fairly common with plots like this. The back part here is supposed to be the inside of the mountain, so there's really no need to put anything there. In case you're wondering, we did manage to get first place in the competition, which I thought was a little surprising because I have never, ever in my life won a competition in all of my contests that I have entered. Maybe I can retire from contests now, but I honestly just enjoy entering. I wasn't in it to win it per se, but it's cool to say that I did win one. All credit doesn't go to me, however. wolfbiom, you are a great partner. Go check out wolfbiom's other work, by the way. Really amazing organics. There are many other amazing plots in the server though that I wanted to look at. You just have to fly around not too far to see them. I'm not going to take the time to mention names of the builders, you'll just have to come on here and look at them yourself. This one was really neat. It was a giant bastion of sorts with a giant cannon that was just firing. This was a beautifully done castle with nice texturing elements. One thing I really like about this one is it does have a nice full 360 view, but there are some other ones that have a similar style to ours where it's kind of flat in the back. This one in particular I thought was done really well. I loved the gradient going from the dark to the light toward the top. I like that 2D backdrop too. It's very nicely done. I've never actually tried something like that myself, but I really like how they handled it on this plot. There were a couple of these that had a very icy tundra look to them. I really like this one. It just wasn't completed as much in the back, but from the front I thought it was looking really nice. This one looks really nice too. I love the growth in this one and all the greenery. That was something I wish I could have included in our plot, but due to the setting of it, obviously it wouldn't have fit very well, but I love all of the greenery in this one. It looks really nice. This one was just fun and colorful and basically a giant meme build because it's a dirt castle with stake banners. If you don't know, the Discord URL for Builder's Refuge is literally /stake. So this is just a big meme build, but I like how edible it looks. Here's the other really icy one. I thought this one was really cool. I loved the dark stone contrasting the snow on this plot. I thought that was really well done. This one was really nicely done. This one has some interiors. Ooh, wow. Oh, this is gorgeous. I love this interior. This plot, I believe, won second place, and I didn't get a good look at it actually the first time. I don't know if it has any interiors. Let me see. I'll just fly around real quick. It looks like it doesn't, but it does have dragons, and that's really all you need. Oh, look. We've got a pig roasting on the fire. What else is there on this plot? Yeah, the dragons. I mean, dragons just make everything better. This one got third place, and I loved the detail in the terrain itself. I mean, look at how organic this terrain is. I thought that was really well done for all being done by hand. And the texturing in the stained glass windows was really well done. And especially for how simple it is, because there isn't actually any glass in there. It's just the glazed terracotta. So I like the texturing on that and how it's darker in the back and lighter in the front too. Well, this is interesting. This is like a structure on wheels, like a mobile fortress. There were a couple of organics with the structure built on top of them. Here's an example of one. Here's another organic with a structure on top. These ones were also beautiful and very unique. I thought this was one of the most creative ones, and I don't know how it didn't place, personally. Showing a bunch of kids playing Capture the Flag, I think, because there's a flag that they're all going for. And then there's a little husky down here. I guess you could say it's not exactly a fortress, but it's a snow fort that they're playing in. I just thought it was such a cute concept. Like I said at the beginning of this video, I did feel like there weren't as many plots on this contest, but again, I think the majority of these had 2 people per plot. There were a few people who did do a solo build, but when you've got everyone doubling up, you're just going to have fewer plots as a result of that. But still, it was a really fun contest, and I'm glad I got to participate. I would have enjoyed it whether I had won or not. That really does not matter to me when it comes to these contests. And be sure to check out our plot. We do have some interior and some explorability about it. There is a little scavenger hunt you can do when you walk in the door. And yeah, it's just more fun to explore in person. I'm not going to spoil everything or tell you where anything is. You'll just have to log into Builder's Refuge and do it yourself. If you ever do get a chance to log into this contest world, let me know below what your favorite one was. Maybe there's one on here that you think should have one instead, and that's perfectly valid. Much of art is subjective. Here's another one with a 2D backdrop. It's really cute. Yeah, it's just fun to fly around and look at these and learn new things. You can pick up on great techniques just by examining other people's builds. That's honestly one of the best ways to learn, is to study what techniques you like in a build and try to apply that technique to whatever projects you work on next. I know some of you have said you would never enter a contest like this because, wow, these builds are so beyond your comprehension, how would you ever compare or compete with them? But you know, I do have great admiration for those who do go out of their comfort zone and enter a contest, whether or not you're up to the same level of skill as everyone else. Remember, everyone has to start from somewhere. If you go back and look at my old videos and builds, actually, please don't do that. They're terrible. It takes time, and you can't just expect it to happen overnight. I think contests are a great form of motivation to improve yourself. It gives you some kind of goal to aim for. These contests don't happen extremely frequently on Builder's Refuge, but there are other servers that do hold more frequent contests. You just have to find them and try to enter them when you can. Obviously, you don't have to enter every single contest, but just don't be afraid to try. It's a lot of fun even when you don't place. I feel I've talked too much in this video. Thanks for watching, have a good one, and I will see you again sometime.